God, I hope this is good lighting. Hello, everyone on the Self-Started channel. It's me, Mahim. You're probably wondering, why am I talking to you solo, direct to camera, no guest, no Alex? What's the big deal? And I'll tell you what it is. I've decided recently, kind of gone rogue on this one, to start my own solo show on Self-Started. And here's why. Now, it's not like I don't like doing the show with Alex. It's great, but I also feel like, I always want to do more. And what I realize is when you try to do more, you have to start making sacrifices in other areas. And for me, I felt that self-started videos, specifically the shorter ones where you have to edit and record, those were taking a lot longer time than ideal. And not just time, part of it is just creative energy that I feel like I'm not putting towards my main priority creatively, which is my hockey channel. And as I'll talk about in the February update in this video, that hasn't been going as well as I'd hope. Part of it is because of spending more time on Self-Started than ideal. So I decided, let me do a solo podcast where I can talk about the same things I would have talked about in a video in a longer format, while also getting extra speaking practice. Now, speaking practice is something that's important to me because I realize it's one of the things I need to improve on the most if my videos are going to actually elevate in quality. My delivery needs to be much better. See right there, that was like one of those moments where you're like, not the greatest delivery, but it's okay. We're here to practice. That's what it's all about. And beside that, oh God, I feel like in self-started podcasts, I don't really get to express my personality as much as would be ideal. Like, I feel like pretty robotic and monotone, and I'm sure people, especially people that know Alex and not me, they probably feel that way. And I feel like part of it is because the subjects that we covered aren't exactly the most casual, or the kind of things that I like to excuse my French here, but shoot the shit with other people on. And we also originally wanted to have a professional, quote unquote, tone to Self-Started. And I think over the last few months, we realized that that's not really what it's about. Self-Started is supposed to be a fun project that we want to grow. It's supposed to be casual. It's not supposed to be like this highly produced, scripted, television type of content. So that's why I think more personality is better in this regard. So I thought, in my own podcast, it's just me. So I'm going to have to keep you entertained for God knows how long this thing's going to be. So that's a good challenge that I'm trying to get up to. It'll help me with that. It'll help me with just making my own content down the line. I want to try to do a similar thing for my other channel, just so I'm consistently creating. So these are the reasons why I decided to do Solocast. And I want to start with talking about the February update. So there hasn't been a video like there was last month for January. So now I'm going to talk about this in February. So if you remember, my 3 big goals were: 1, to get more subscribers on my hockey channel, which obviously comes from creating more content; 2, gaining weight, getting up to 160 pounds; and 3, learning Korean, or not just learning Korean, but advancing my Korean from what it's already at. So starting with the last one first, Korean. I've actually been doing a lot more Korean this last I've been doing more Korean in February than I have in January. That's what you need to know. Okay? So, you see, I had this tracker that is a spreadsheet chart, and that basically maps out the lessons that I complete from this program called Talk to Me in Korean. Shows me what level, how much percentage I've achieved through each level, and how much more I have to go until I reach that elusive intermediate proficiency, at least according to their standards. Now, and this isn't just something that's private to me. I've actually made that chart public on our self-started website, and this is basically, I can already hear you in your head going like, what website? And I don't blame you, because we never post anything on our website. But as most people probably think, we thought that we needed a website to make self-started work. Newsflash, no, you don't. In fact, when I was talking to Brandon in 2 podcasts ago, Brandon, who I worked with at Jump Cut, his current business has no website really, and hasn't had it for the majority of their existence. They've basically run all their online presence on their YouTube channel, and that's worked fantastic for them, and they're doing great. They have a sustainable business, and it's not because of a website. That's one of those things that Alex and I thought was necessary, but we quickly realized that social media today is basically your website. Our Instagram, our YouTube channels, that's where people are, and that's where we can easily create content and just post it up without the hassles of code. Even though Alex is a coder, you gotta shout him out. Yeah, he probably could have made some fancy thing for our website, web design, whatever, front end, whatnot. But that's not what is important. What's important for us is making content, and the website's not part of that. But I thought that, okay, we have this WordPress website. Why not try to use it for something valuable? And what I found is that you can embed charts into these websites, and with that, you can basically have a one snapshot of everything that you're tracking in one page. So for me, not only do I have my Korean chart, I have my weight tracking chart, my YouTube video chart, along with some other side goals that I haven't talked about. For example, my UCLA certificate that I'm working on, the progress of each class, the progress of each major assignment, the total progress for the entire certificate. All that is in like a bar chart format, which I really like. And because one thing I realized is when it comes to being productive, the biggest lesson I've learned is that I am someone that feeds off the sense of completion. Like, I need to be able to see the progress visually. Like, I can't be like, okay, so I have this essay, and your only marker of when it's done is when you complete the final draft and it's submitted. No, I have to break it down into like pages, or word count, or sections of like intro, body, paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, because I need to know that the work that I'm doing is actually adding up to something. And I get to see, all right, how far am I from 50% of this project being done? How far am I from 50% of this page being done? And that basically does is take advantage of a small, like psychological, I guess, tendency is a word, or psychological craving for progress. And so if you could see like these small chunks of things that are getting done and how they add up, my brain at least feels much more motivated to continue and finish through, especially when you could see that, hey, I'm getting really close. If I do the X more work, I'll get there. So that's been the mindset behind this entire WordPress page. I'll have it linked down in the description for anyone who's interested. And actually, if you're interested in making one of your own, please DM me on Instagram, either at the Self Started Instagram, at Team Self Started, or my personal Instagram, at Mahim the Dream, and I will show you how I did it and hook you up with whatever you need, advice you need to know on how to make one for your own, because I think it's super cool. Productivity systems, I'm obsessed with them recently. It's something that I want to talk about more about in this solo show and on our Instagram page and on LinkedIn, because I think it's a really I've one thing I realized with productivity systems, and I'm not going to get too into it on this podcast, but you really need to make no productivity system, whether it be like an Asana or Todoist or just a simple calendar, none of that on its own is perfect for you. And what I realized is that I needed to make something that not only I would use, but it takes advantage of the way I think and the way I think about progress, the way my mind is motivated. And I have a very analytical mind, so I need to see the numbers, the progress, the information, the sorting, all of that in one system, which is I basically created for myself through a lot of trial and error. And I'm excited to share more about that in this podcast. You see, I'm like catching myself getting a little stuffy, and so I'd like to just fucking snap myself out of it. But anyways, how's everyone doing? Yeah. We doing good? Yeah. You guys having a good time on the Mahim solo show? The Mahim Mondays? Maybe is that the move? Is that what we're gonna call this thing? All right. Yeah. It's gonna be a good time. Yeah. So yeah, productivity systems. Ooh. So on to my second goal. Weight. My road to 160 pounds body weight by the end of the year. And I'm proud to say I'm actually on track. I'm right above 145 and a half pounds as of yesterday, which puts me right on pace. And actually, I think even ahead of pace for reaching 160 by the end of the year, which I'm really excited about, because for a long time, I haven't been, basically all of 2019, I was not able to gain substantial weight. And I think recently I've been eating more and exercising more and doing so consistently, most importantly. And I found that that's what's really been the contributors to getting that weight on. I've also been doing intermittent fasting, which always helps with building muscle and not just getting fat, which obviously no one wants to, unless you're a power lifter, you don't want to get fat. And I know this because so one of my buddies, Shad, who was on our most recent podcast, he is also doing intermittent fasting, and that's a guy that's, I feel like we've been talking about him losing weight for the last 3-4 years. It's just a Tic Tac. So if he's doing it, it's got to work. I don't think that made sense, but anyway, so 144 and a half pounds. This has been good for me, and I will say that while I have gained the weight, I don't feel content with the system that's around it. I've gained the weight, but it's been kind of too... There's just too many variables that are not accounted for. namely, what am I eating on a day-to-day basis. It's not really, I'm not meal prepping or planning out my meals or tracking the calories. I'm kind of just eyeballing it and just thinking more about volume rather than quality of food or um, even cost. Things that I feel are important to make this sustainable, because I don't want to just go in blind with something just because it's working now. I do want to make it better. So one of the things that I'm working on recently is trying to create a food system where basically I have my entire list of things I need to buy at the grocery store, how much it costs, how big is a serving, what's the calorie content, etc., etc. Actually, one interesting thing is cost efficiency. What has the most bang for your buck, calorie wise? Most of the time, that's carbs and pasta, which isn't the greatest for my body. But I'm trying to tinker with what works and what is tolerable to my body, and not completely shun out carbs like I did back when I was on keto. So with that list, you can basically turn that list into a set of meals that I can rotate throughout the week and cook in bulk. And those, with that in mind, it makes shopping, cooking, cleaning, and eating all way less complicated. The decisions are completely eliminated of what food to eat, when to eat, how to eat. Those things just absolutely kill me when it comes to trying to eat properly. Like, just choosing what to eat and then not and wasting that time when I could have been just having meals at home, cooking them, which by the way, it's cheaper and it's healthier to just cook them yourself. So I wouldn't. I wanted to create a system that reflects that. And honestly, if you're thinking about any sort of dieting, I would honestly have to recommend doing the same, where you are aware of what's going in your food. You know, you don't have to make that decision every single day of what you're going to eat. And you can be confident that whatever you're putting in your body is what you want to put in, not just what your cravings are demanding at the moment that you to put inside of you. So that's been an ongoing project. I need to work on the exact meals I want to use, but I know that once that's set up and finalized, it eliminates a lot of the stress that's come with food, which and that a lot of the problems that I've run into over the last couple of years. Similar to that, I've been doing the same thing for cleaning, getting a little cleaning regimen, because recently a couple of my friends has been, critical about some of the disorganization in my house, which, it's not like I'm not aware of, but like I said, I'm of the mind where it needs to be thought out first and organized before before I ever try to brute force through it, because I know that if I try to brute force through it, I could be successful, but it's not sustainable. And for me, sustainability is really the key with anything that I want to turn, any task that I want to make a recurring thing in my life. So yeah, those are the systems that are related to my weight, cleaning, cooking, all that, etc. Oh, actually, speaking of that, workouts are also going to have a similar treatment, spreadsheet style. You already know. I'll probably track how much weight that I do, how many reps, what to do on each day. Because again, right now it's pretty by the feel, and I'm like rotating in my mind which body parts to exercise, but not necessarily tracking it I wouldn't say not properly, but formally. I'm not tracking it formally. So yeah, I think yeah, definitely by the time March comes around, I will have that figured out. Now finally, the area that I've been slacking is really the hockey videos, and honestly, I would not like to give there any excuse, but I do want to give I don't want to give any excuse for why there hasn't been content, but I do want to give context on what's been going on outside of the whole hockey thing. I did record a video that turned out to be like an hour long that I have to chop down into like 15 minutes. It's actually the first time I ever had something that long, and I had to chop it down. And I think in the back of my mind, I have this voice that's just like, "Oh God, this is not gonna be good. Oh God, like there's just so many parts that are like meh. This whole video is just gonna be bad." Even though that there are some really good high points, and then once I edit it and add in my own comedic effects and entertainment, it could actually be a really good video. But this is just one part of the process where your gut reaction is, "Oh, this video is not going to be good. What's even the point?" And it becomes a self-defeating prophecy. That's something that's been kind of justified. That's kind of one of the things that my brain has been doing to justify the procrastination. And even though I'm aware, and I'm definitely aware of it, for first of all, and like doing this podcast definitely helps reinforce, and I'm probably gonna do something about this like very soon, because I was really high on the concept of that video, which I'm not gonna spoil on the self-started podcast for our millions of viewers who are gonna feel bad when they see the hockey video and know that it was spoiled, obviously. All I'm gonna say is that was a factor. My friend Shad, when he came to do the podcast, that was actually the second day he was here for like the last 10 days. He actually just left yesterday back to New York. So we were having a lot of good times watching. I mean, it was actually like a great week for both of us in terms of having a good time, especially for him. Yeah, if anyone's watched Love Is Blind on Netflix, great show. Definitely did not expect to be so invested in it as I was when my girlfriend first told me about it. But yeah, Cameron, love him and Lauren as a couple. But I will say, my critique of the show from day one has always been, you know what? No one here is ugly. Maybe some of the girls that didn't even make it to the bulk of the show, they were like, average, but no one was ugly. So the whole premise that, oh, you don't see them, so you don't know if it doesn't matter how they look. You love them because of who they are and not what they look like. I think that's bullshit, because everyone there was an attractive human being. So it's not like you're just rolling the dice and like hoping you don't get like an uggo as your partner. Like you're gonna get a pretty good bet. Like the matchups on that were just ridiculous. Like that, there has to be like the top 1% of people, of attractive people in Atlanta. So I don't think they proved that love is blind. Clearly, they didn't prove it's blind. And definitely the success rate of being in the pod to maintaining the relationship. I mean, what, like 2 of the 5 couples? Well, first of all right, so spoiler alert. 2 of the 5 couple 2 of the 5 couples that made it to the altar actually got married and said yes to each other. That's a 40% success rate. And there were way more people than just 10 that started this show. Like 90% of the roster we never saw. There was this one guy that looked like Bucky from Captain America. That was just Barnett's little advisor, like his hype man, I guess, like a sidekick. He's just telling He's just basically a plot device for the producers to be able to like be able to get content out of Barnett and continue the story that they want to tell. Also, by the way, why is this guy? His name's not even Barnett. His name is Matthew. Barnett is his last name. Why did they go with Barnett the whole time? And everyone's like, oh my God, Barnett. Oh, Barnett this, Barnett that. Oh, I love Barnett, but is he going to pick that Jessica or is he going to pick this other girl? I don't know. His name is... You don't even know his name. And thinking about it, Shad really reeled me in. He was like, you know what? Maybe it's because they have a mark. They didn't want to be confusing by throwing a Matt in there, which I get it. I get it. That I'm Barnett is a more unique name. Although I've never heard of it as anything but a last name, so that was interesting. But yeah. Anyways, okay, yeah. So we watched that show, and then we got boiling crab. So for people that aren't in LA, boiling crab is this amazing Cajun style seafood place. So they give you boiled seafood. You just use your hands, just eat it. Has Cajun sauce on it. It's in their whole shebang sauce. Fantastic. Had that a few times. We went to the super dope arcade called 2-Bit Arcade in the Arts District. And as sketchy as Arts District is in LA, I have to say that place is pretty dope, especially their VR stuff. So if anyone from there is watching, you guys are doing a fantastic job. I definitely recommend anyone that wants to check out 2-Bit, go check out their VR, I guess, experiences, because I wouldn't even call them games. They're experiences. Like, there was one where you're strapped in with a helmet, with the VR helmet, and you're manning a turret, and you're basically on this platform in the middle of a city where you can feel wind, heat, just the platform moving. You're shooting these robots and you're collecting crystals, and like you're playing as a four player team, and it's like super fun. That was definitely one of the that has to be the best VR thing that I've ever experienced personally, and one of the top experiences that I've ever had. Go check it out. Wow, am I really still talking about this? Chad, right, Chad. I mean, yeah. So we were having a good time. All right, so that's all you need to know, and that's part of the reason why I didn't get to the video. And, it's kind of tough. I mean, I was helping him with his resume. It's blah blah blah. Somebody's got to go eat. It's like we got to play some games. Like, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to do it when your friend's here to vacation. It's hard to just be like, all right, I'm just gonna ignore you and go do some work. To be fair, to get around this, we both went to do some work. Sometimes I had to say no to him, to be like, hey, I got stuff to do. Like, you can go back whenever you want, but I'm gonna stay here longer and get what I need to do done. And that's part of the sacrifice of having your own goals and whatnot. Like, you can't always hang out when your friends are around, or be that guy that's like ready to go out whenever. Like, it's not all the behind the scenes work is not sexy. It's not gonna really make you friends. It's just it's gonna require sacrifice. So, and I was willing to do it as much as I thought was reasonable, and I think Chad understood that, and I think anyone that had any good friend would understand that. And he's known me for a long time. He knows. So sorry guys, the video cut out. I had to start it up again. But anyway, so again, the hockey channel, that stuff, plus the UCLA certificate, the health and weight stuff, all these other things that were going on, even self-started to a certain extent, they were getting in the way. And I'll admit, like, even though I was more efficient than January for sure, I'm still not at that level where I can say like, oh, all of my time was used as best as possible. So it just didn't have, hockey just wasn't part of it. And that's a lie, because if I did use it as best as possible, hockey would be a part of it, because that's one of those, that is a main priority, at least in theory for me. But the challenge is to make that a priority in practice. So part of that is finishing that first video. Part of that is right after this podcast, I'm gonna record a couple of smaller videos just to get back into that flow and build up some momentum for my hockey channel. One related to the whole analytical mind thing. I'm the recent. Let me gather my thoughts here. So over the last year or so, I've been really interested in hockey analytics, and it's a contentious subject in the Twitterverse, but it's something that I want to shed light on and explore for myself and show other people during my exploration, because it's something that most people don't understand, and it's kind of in its own bubble on Twitter. And some people are doing a good job of trying to expand the knowledge on hockey analytics and have people understand them. Shout out to NHL Discussion. Shout out to Namita, who works for Seattle now. Congratulations on that, by the way. Really, actually, I think a lot of the points that she makes online are really smart points, and appreciate her content a lot. Other guys who I'm sure that they're out there that it's just not coming up right now. But beside those guys, there are some douchebags, I'm not gonna lie, that are kind of in their own bubble that aren't really trying to convince anyone that what they're saying is valid. They're kind of just like, oh, we're holier than thou, so if you don't know it, you're stupid. I don't think that's the right way to have this discourse. I actually don't think that having it on Twitter is useful either. There really should be videos on this stuff, and more visual stuff, like what Steven Valiquette did for MSG about expected goals. I thought that was a great segment. Stuff like that where people can actually see the sport being played in relation to how the numbers are calculated, and that disconnect isn't there. That's something that I think there's a market gap right now, and that's something that I've been wanting to fill for a long time. And God help me if I don't fucking do it right after this podcast. So, yeah, I better do it. Yeah, so those are the main things for the hockey channel. I really think getting that momentum going is always a good way to build up to do the thing that you've been avoiding to do. So starting small. Yeah, so I think that's it for the update. This thing has run over 30 minutes now, which is just about the length that I want these things to be, if not shorter, more give or take. But if you've gotten this far, why? Nah, I'm just kidding. I really appreciate it if you got this far. I hope to be more concise, more good at this moving forward. So, yeah, thank you for watching all the way through. Expect one of these once every week, because like I mentioned in the beginning, you need practice, and that's right, I am talking about practice. Anyway, thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications on when the new episode comes out. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time.